There's one guy, I don't remember who he was, who said that we Verstappen fans know that even if the positions were reversed, it was Max who would have gotten the penalty. I mean, what the fuck are we even talking about? In that case, whatever happens, FIA is against you. That is not how the sport is run.
Also,
Let's not do that to. The thing is, the problem with all of this is it takes the fun out of the sport. Be honest, again, Max made a mistake, happens. He went
yeah,
off. There's literally, I don't think there's even a single person who can, in good faith, argue that Max should have not been given a penalty.
I think so too. Yeah, so I think Max threw away the win by kind of doing what Max does all the time. It usually goes in his favor, though, right? But he played it wrong here. But yeah,
Cool. Let's talk about it then. Let's
yeah,
talk
the
about the
penalty.
incident. Yeah.
So look, here's what happened for. I know there's a lot of people who are Max Verstappen fans who don't want to listen to what are they called again? Facts. So here's what happened. At the end of the day, right? Oscar got a better start. He got a better launch. Yeah. McLaren, and we'll come to this because I know someone asked the question, so we will come to this later. But McLaren have been just getting better starts, and we'll talk about why when the question comes up because I think that's fair. But Piastri got a better start. And you could see that by literally the rundown that, Oscar basically was passing him. And as they came to the corner, Oscar would have been far ahead at the apex, but, Max playing the apex game that they've been playing for a long time, rolled off the brakes. I've since seen the telemetry and so on. He let off the brakes to kind of roll in alongside and stay along at the apex so that when there was no space for him on the other side, because Oscar should have been ahead realistically, he could then argue that I've been forced off. Now, the thing for me that makes it a slam dunk penalty is twofold. The whole, I've been forced off and playing the Apex game, if that was the entirety of it, you probably, because it's lap one, turn one, could have played it down to a racing incident. Where it was completely thrown off is that as soon as he went into the runoff, he hit the gas pedal and just flew off and ended up a second ahead by the time Oscar came out of the chicane, which is gaining a lasting advantage because he didn't give that second back. And that for me is kind of now you just deserve a penalty. And to be fair, I think because it was the two things, he kind of was lucky that the stewards did say, well, it's lap one, turn one, because they could have easily given a 10-second penalty there, which would have put him way further back. Probably behind Lando, actually, I think, if we calculated
he would have been
behind Leclerc.
No, he would have been fine. He would have been behind George, but would have jumped him eventually.
Okay. But yeah, so I think it's a slam dunk from that point. The fact is, look, he played the game of letting off the brakes to try and stay ahead of the apex. So he wasn't forced off and he wasn't entitled to the room. He just played that game. And for everyone who's bringing up Austin and Mexico, first of all, we told you so repeatedly. Second of all, it's a pointless argument because the rules have been changed because of these silly games. So to bring those up as an argument doesn't make sense. And the funniest thing I saw brought up by Verstappen fans was the AD21 Hamilton incident, where Hamilton did the same thing. And they're like, oh, well, this one wasn't a penalty. And I'm like, well, there's two problems with that. First of all, we all agree that should have been a penalty. So your argument is, look, this should have been a penalty, but it wasn't. So this one shouldn't be a penalty either, is a frankly idiotic argument. And secondly, there's 3 years between the two and the rules have changed. So it's a pointless one to bring up anyway. But to argue, well, that should have been a penalty, so this shouldn't have. That what? Like, what are you talking about? Like, we all agree that should have been a penalty for Hamilton. Everyone except Hamilton fans, and especially Verstappen fans, say that should have been a penalty. And now they're going, well, that wasn't a penalty, so this shouldn't be. You're like, what are you talking about? It doesn't make any sense.
I think there was only one argument ideally that they could have made, and the argument was I think Oscar had 2 wheels off track. If it was 4 wheels off track, then it would have been a case of him pushing a driver off and himself going off with that. Then it becomes
If Oscar
irresponsible
went off
driving.
as well. Yep.
Yeah, then it
But he
becomes
didn't.
irresponsible. Yeah, he didn't. That we didn't really reach the irresponsible driving bit, and that's why I think he kind of got saved.
Yeah.
And the thing is, there's other than the Verstappen fans who have basically been again the kind of victim mentality. It becomes irritating, to be honest. 'Cause
It's
look, be
cult
honest.
all over again.
It's a lot of the case of being There's one guy, I don't remember who he was, who said that we Verstappen fans know that even if the positions were reversed, it was Max who would have gotten the penalty. I mean, what the fuck are we even talking about? In that case, whatever happens, FIA is against you. That is not how the sport is run.
Also,
Let's not do that to. The thing is, the problem with all of this is it takes the fun out of the sport. Be honest, again, Max made a mistake, happens. He went
yeah.
off. There's literally, I don't think there's even a single person who can, in good faith, argue that Max should have not been given a penalty.
Well,
I don't know even a
even
single
Red
person.
Bull was making even Red Bull didn't argue the properly kind of forced off thing. They were arguing the apex, and it's like, yeah, that's fine, but like the telemetry and everything shows that he rolled off the brakes to be alongside the apex. And I might have pointed out as well.
No, wait. There's one thing, by the way. I think you might have even you mentioned it in the post that the car on the inside has
This
to
is what I
be
was
the
going to
front
say.
wheels. Yeah, the front wheels have to be alongside the
Yeah,
front
yeah.
mirror.
Under the new regulations, the front axle of the car needs to be ahead of the mirror of the other car to claim being
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah.
And in the photo that Horner showed, you
It's
could
actually the
see the
case.
front axle was ahead of the mirror. So it's like
Yeah.
you're looking. I genuinely think they were like, right, let's just pretend the new rules don't exist and just wind up some fans and back up Max a bit here. Like I
I mean,
don't know
it's
what they're
basically
doing.
they know what they're doing. They're laying down the groundwork for the rest of the season. It was the same thing that happened in Brazil. You are trying to manufacture outrage. And
Yeah,
again, you have to respect Horner for the level at which he goes to back his driver and to do these things.
yeah,
No other driver in Formula, no other team principal in Formula One will go to that extent. They'll just
yeah,
take
yeah,
it on the chin and just move on. I
yeah.
think this is what maybe at some point even Max admires, that the team backs him 100%.
Regardless, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
One of
And
the
yeah,
one of the other funniest things I saw on Twitter was people being like, literally no other driver would get a penalty for that, ignoring the
Lawson,
fact that Lawson got a penalty for the exact same thing in the exact same race at the exact same turn and got a
Lawson
10
shouldn't
second
have.
penalty.
Lawson
Yeah.
shouldn't have though. And that's the funnier bit. He shouldn't have. He was actually ahead.
Yeah, but the new rules are simple. Like I think the race summed it up, and the problem is that the new overtaking guidelines, they are technically secret, but we've kind of heard them all leak from various sources over the past few months.
And ideally, you know what they should do? They should make it public.
I don't know why they don't. It's really irritating.
We shouldn't be having these conversation based on whatever nuggets of information has been leaked out by the
Yeah,
drivers. Right.
it's really stupid, but essentially it's you have to the being ahead is now counted as front axle in front of the mirror. The other
On the inside. On the
on the
inside.
inside, yeah. On the outside and so on, I think there's a different rule. I can't remember what it is, but then
It's basically inverted in that case.
okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. You have to stay within the track limits, which Max didn't. And then there's two other rules as well. Oh, be fully in control of your car, which Piastri was because he made the turn. Max didn't. And then there is some other one. I can't remember. There's some fourth criteria.
For me, I actually, once the whole
I think
report
these
came
rules
out,
work fine. This
rules are, look, I think it comes down to the track. Why do we have, if you are going to have a track where you're basically drawing lines and you basically have tarmac here and then just a weird color, weird paint is put on the other part, then you're
Yeah.
basically inviting something like this. Why not simply have a scenario where you either just put a gravel trap or even a small one, or have those cones in there where basically what you're doing is you are
Yeah.
not and you're discouraging the drivers from going to that runoff. There was nothing. F2 race, by the way, Formula 2 race, Gabriele Mini, I think it was 6 or 7 laps consecutively where he went over it because everyone was just diving down the inside and he would just go over that.
Yeah.
That's that. The drivers are going to take advantage of every inch you give them, and it comes down to the FIA to
They
actually
could
be just
easily
smart
put
about
gravel
it.
in that. They could
Yeah.
easily put gravel there next year. Easily. And the
I
thing
mean, it's
is, I
Saudi,
saw
right?
someone.
They don't have they are not they don't lack money to bring
I saw
gravel.
someone
They
argue
make
as
it
well that
rain.
like when you put the gravel thing, maybe it was you or someone else, but I saw one of the comments on the gravel argument was, Yeah, but if you put gravel there, like Piastri wasn't running in that deep. I'm like, literally just this,
What?
like, it's just Verstappen fanboys, just cop on. The whole point here is Piastri was ahead. If there was gravel there, Max wouldn't have rolled off the brakes like he did. It would have been the opposite. Because if Max rolled off the brakes and did exactly what he did, Piastri was making the corner because if you watched it, he made the fucking corner. Whereas if Verstappen had done what he did and rolled off the brakes, he would have had nowhere to go and been in the gravel. And even if Piastri got a penalty in that situation for forcing him off, Verstappen's out of the race. It wouldn't have made a difference. So that argument is silly. Put gravel there. I agree. Or at least a big fucking curb so they have to hop over the thing.
Yeah.
You know? Or just bring the walls a bit closer. Like they could easily do it. You know?
I think that would be risky because a brake failure could kind of screw things
Sure.
up.
Okay. Well then, put gravel there.
Yeah. Just put gravel. I mean, bring gravel and everything. Gravel is.
We've seen even in Australia, they can put like the strips of gravel around just to make it more difficult and more costly.
Even in Austin, they've done that, right? Now they will have gravel after the long straight. They will have gravel, and there should be gravel. It's something that is. Formula One fucks with itself. That's the whole problem. You have simple solutions in place, and again, it's the whole thing. The gravel will spill on the track. So what?
Yeah.
Fine. That's a very small variability.
But like it's like, the gravel will spill on the track. Okay, well, if that's the argument, then we can't race at any of the tracks that have gravel on them, which is a ton of tracks. So, like, arguing against gravel
Crofty was making this stupid argument, by the way. I think it was Karun who mentioned...
This is why I've switched to F1 Live.
Yeah. The argument was made in Australia where he said, this is the problem with gravel. We should not have gravel. And Karun like, what the fuck are you on about?
Yeah.
This is the best possible thing. This is the best hindrance you could have. Yeah, and that is. Oh, jeez. Yeah, I will not even comment on that.
I just look the argument against gravel. Like, I get there's an argument when you're like it's at MotoGP tracks, for example. Jeddah isn't one, so there's no argument there. And even if it was, let's be perfectly honest here. The amount of money they spend fitting these tracks out for F1 races with sensors and so on, to add a little bit of fucking gravel would not be prohibitively as expensive as they could.
I mean, the Kingdom of Saudi has enough money to put gravel all over the track.
Yeah.
Okay, they could make it rain if they wanted. So money is not a problem.
Yeah, I just don't see why not, and that would just get rid of this argument once and for all. Because, like, Max isn't rolling off his brakes and trying to hang it around the outside, knowing he can go off if there's gravel there, because he could easily beach or lose control and hit the wall. He's not doing it, so let's just add some gravel and just. The argument's going to be, we can't just add gravel to every race we can. And my argument to that is, why? What are you talking about? Like, even just the strips of gravel.
Yeah.
But even just the strips of gravel is enough to unsettle the car, so you're not risking it. You know, like
it discourages drivers from doing that, and that is the whole bit. They don't want.
I think anyway, slam dunk penalty. You don't think so, or
100%.
Yeah,
I had no issues with that. I think I called it as soon as it happened. I like Max has to give it back. And my second argument was when I saw the replay. That only argument that Red Bull could make is Piastri kind of went off the track. But when I saw the replay again, he had his two tires on the track.
Yeah. And the rules are as long as one tire at least is over it, you're within track limits. So
true.
To be honest, as soon as I saw that, I was like, right, yeah, this is a slam dunk. Like Max really needs to give that back. And I thought to myself, like, if this wasn't turn one, he's getting 10 second. I knew there was going to be like some sort of mitigating circumstances. So he was lucky, I think, to get only 5 seconds there because, like I said, there was two sides to it. They could have easily said, well, look, he also did put his foot down when he ran off, which was just taking the piss. Like, just... And I also just saw this Verstappen...
And he was, by the way, very lucky. He didn't get any penalty points.
Yeah.
Which he's on 8 points right now, and you do not want any more of them.
And he's on 8 points until July. So it's not like it's anytime soon they're going away.
Exactly.
So he can't afford to be doing this. Like,
That's why he kept his mouth shut afterwards.